Oops, I clicked the wrong button there. Sorry about my amateurish launch there. Okay. Been doing this for 13 chapters and I started panicking and pushing the wrong buttons. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about aggression. We have physical aggression that I'm trying to represent with the fist. And then we've got more psychological aggression where he's like yelling right in her face, whatever. Psychological aggression is kind of harder to depict, but the idea that words hurt too, right? And they can be used aggressively. So what we mean by aggression is any behavior that is intending to harm someone else. So any kind of behavior, so it could be verbal behavior, it could be physical behavior. And then the key thing is, though, it's intentional. You're trying to harm someone else. This excludes like toddlers who may hurt another toddler as they dig their fingernails into the other toddler's little hands to get him to let go of the toy. And it hurts the one who gets scratched. But the scratcher is not even aware that the scratchee has feelings. He's not trying to hurt the other kid. That's called instrumental aggression because you're just trying to get what you want. What I want to focus on here is really the behavior that intends to harm. So where does it come from? Why do we sometimes want to hurt somebody else? Well, there's biology. We do see that aggression seems to run in families. So here's a genotype where you have an MAOA genotype. One of the alleles has this MAO and then A instead of B. That genotype seems to lead to reactive aggression, where you feel like somebody else instigated and you're just reacting. And then also impulsive violence, where you do stuff without necessarily thinking it through. Now, why? Why would this gene be related to aggression? People who have this genotype seem to have an overactive amygdala. And in particular area of the amygdala, when it's overactive, it makes you aggressive. It makes you feel aggressive, and it's much more likely that you'll act out. We see it in animals and we see it in humans alike, that an overactive amygdala seems to lead to aggression. And then if you don't have a frontal lobe that dampens the effect of that amygdala, you're much more likely to act out on it. The impulsive violence in particular is associated with hyporeactive prefrontal lobe. That means it's not stepping in and telling you, this doesn't seem like a very good idea. If you have an underactive prefrontal lobe and an overactive amygdala, that seems to be associated particularly with impulsive violence. So genes may set you up to have these neural factors, these brain structures that are overactive amygdala and underactive prefrontal lobe that then lead to the behaviors. There's also biochemistry. Biochemistry refers to a couple of different things that could be in your bloodstream, right, that might affect the way that your brain's functioning or the way your sympathetic nervous system's functioning. Hormones get a lot of attention, particularly testosterone. Here we have testosterone effects on aggression in male mice, okay, because you'll notice that in that blue area it says post-castration. So yeah, we don't usually castrate humans anymore, so we're not really allowed to study humans like that. So we do it to other animals, right? So here we have the number of biting attacks. And in the left-hand part, which is yellow, it says pre-castration. So here we have male mice who are intact and can do whatever they want. And we see this rate of biting attacks. Then they castrate them, and you see that the biting attacks go way down, like they pretty much stop biting. Then in the red area, they reintroduced testosterone, and they saw the biting attacks start to go back up. So that pretty much seems to isolate testosterone as the causal factor in these biting attacks with the mice. Seeing stuff like that with animals has led people to think, well, maybe that's how it works in people too. And so, they've pointed to things like, well, when you castrate a steer, a male cow, make him a steer, he's much less aggressive than the intact bull, right? So they've looked at castration studies. We do it with dogs also. You know, if you castrate a male dog, he tends to be less aggressive than his unaltered counterpart. So the conclusion obviously is testosterone causes aggression, except for it's not quite that clear cut because, like I said, we're not allowed to remove men's testicles anymore, but also because you've got to take into account you know, brain organization and things like that that come into place in men prior to maturation at puberty. And then if you castrate them after that has happened, all their brain structures have now been masculinized and maybe already primed to react to stimuli in a particular way. And there's learning and other things. So hormones are not the pure explanation for humans. And in fact, in the studies that have looked at the role of testosterone in aggression in men, where they take saliva samples from men, you can pick up the testosterone levels in saliva. They take the saliva samples before an aggressive attack, during an aggressive attack, and after an aggressive attack. And different studies have found different associations between testosterone levels and aggression. So in some studies, the spike of testosterone occurs before aggression. Sometimes it's after aggression. Sometimes it's during aggression. This lack of consistency makes us wonder whether testosterone's the key factor in aggression at all. Now, alcohol has been closely tied to aggressive acts. I mean, when people drink, it lowers their impulse control, and so they're more likely to behave impulsively. And so alcohol is one of those biochemistry factors that has been supported by research, that, yeah, alcohol consumption is associated with aggression. What about psychosocial factors and then aggression? Here we got mom nagging the daughter, right? Aggression seems to be influenced by aversive conditions and frustration. In fact, we have something called, where's my little, no, I guess not, called the frustration aggression hypothesis, that says that, you know, when you are frustrated, when you are thwarted from your goal, you're more likely to act out aggressively. So frustration, we think, probably helps to fuel aggression. Aversive conditions can also fuel aggression, you know, being in a hot room, or where there's a bad odor, or unpredictable loud noises that you can't escape. These things can make you aggressive. We also can learn aggression. A lot of times we get reinforced for behaving aggressively. Other people are proud of us, or we get what we wanted when we behave aggressively, and that's very rewarding. Sometimes we see other people behaving aggressively and getting rewarded for it, and so we think, you know what, maybe I'm going to start doing that. You know, it seems like it's enabling them to achieve their goals, and I want to achieve my goals, so I'm going to behave aggressively. So sometimes we learn it directly through reinforcement of us. Sometimes we learn it through seeing the outcomes that aggressive models get. And of course, we can't ignore that, you know, our culture has, you know, scripts for, you know, if a person treats you in a particular way, it's okay to react aggressively. It's okay to respond with aggression. And so we have certain scripts. Okay, so if you say that, then I say this, and then we escalate. And then if you keep pushing it, the only thing I'm left with is to react in an aggressive way and stand up for myself, right? And that's portrayed through, you know, general cultural factors and then the media and stuff like that. Okay, let's go ahead and take a break here, and I'll come back and talk about attraction in the next segment.